of my paper is called The French Heroines. Since God had commanded it, it was necessary that I do it. Since God had commanded it, even if I had 100 fathers and mothers, even if I had been a king's daughter, I would have gone nevertheless. These are my determined words which I spoke as a young girl. I heroically saved my nation during the 100 Years' War between England and France. Interestingly, France was ruled by the King of England at the time, although southern France did not accept him as their king. When the English began to purposefully invade southern France, my valiant army and I courageously led the French to victory against the invaders. For my heroic actions, I am still remembered and celebrated today as the Maid of Orleans. In the beginning, my life was ordinary. I was born in 1412 in northeast France in a village called Domremy. My parents, Jacques and Isabelle d'Arc, were honorable, hardworking peasants who farmed daily. I happily attended church and I was very pious when I was young. During my childhood, France and England were in the middle of a long war. In 1425, Domremy was violently ransacked by Burgundians who were England's allies. After the horrible raid, I started hearing voices of saints and archangels. I was visited by the Archangel Michael, Saint Margaret, and Saint Catherine. I paid close attention to their words. Amazingly, I could talk to them using only my mind, not speaking aloud. Worrying that people would not believe me, I did not tell anyone of those voices for a long time. The voices eventually urged me to lead the French into battle against England. My life was no longer ordinary. I heroically prepared to lead the valiant French army into battle. First, I needed support from the powerful Dauphin. Charles, who was the heir to the French throne, presented me with his approval. I then asked for a banner with Jesus, Mary, and God being presented with a flower of the lily by kneeling angels. I soon gathered an army of 4,000 and marched to Orleans, which had around 30,000 inhabitants. This colossal and important city had been under siege by England for months. Since the main gate was heavily guarded, a few followers and I quietly snuck in a small gate that was not. New courage sprang in Orleans. On May 4th, 1429, after my men conquered back the monastery of Saint-Loup, they celebrated their first victory against England. The army was proud. With renewed courage, they attacked the second monastery across the river and won another victory. Then, on May 7th, they finally attacked the besiegers. Sadly, during the battle, I was hit with an arrow. Even though I was wounded, I continued to fight. I led my army against the English until they retreated from the city. Fighting and courageously conquering many powerful strongholds, my army's successes prepared the way for Charles to be crowned King of France. As the leader of the French army, I successfully won multiple battles. Soon thereafter, my life took a turn for the worse. On May 23rd, 1430, a cruel, cunning French captain wickedly betrayed me. I was then captured and handed over to the English. Then I was brought to a gloomy, damp, stinky Burgundian prison tower which had little light and no escape. I was brought to court and unfairly tried at Compiègne by Bishop Pierre Cauchon. The Burgundian faction, who threatened me with torture, triumphantly claimed me to be guilty of heresy and cruelly sentenced me to death. On May 30th, 1431, I was tied up tightly and transported to a crowded market in Rouen in a wagon. There the stake was placed and I was tied to it. I burst into tears. I asked for a cross. An English churchman constructed one out of sticks and ran back to the church to bring another cross for me to look at. Desperately, I kissed the cross and, with streaming eyes, clutched it tightly to my chest. I stared into heaven, crying out, "Jesus, Jesus!" But other than that, I uttered no sound. After my death, the English poured some oil onto the fire to burn away all my remains because they desired to erase all memory of me. Hoping to ensure that there were no traces left, they sprinkled my ashes into the famous fast-flowing River Seine. 25 years later, after examining my trial in 1456, Pope Calixtus proclaimed that I had been innocent and that I had truly been a saint. Though my short life ended brutally, I am still remembered and celebrated as a French heroine. I was a poor, persistent, pious peasant girl. Hearing holy voices when I was young, I believed that I was sent from God to save my country. At the age of 18, I heroically led the French army into battle against England and courageously freed the city of Orleans. Sadly enough, after some time, I was captured, then unfairly tried and burned at the stake. Most importantly, I, the valiant maid of Orleans, was a French saint and heroine because I saved my country.